On this week's edition of Groundhog Day, I'm Declan Harry and I'm joined by Andrew Conway.
Hello.
And Matthias O'Flaherty.
Hello.
As we discuss Arsenal being Arsenal, Juventus being Juventus, and Messi being Messi. At the start of the season, Antonio Conte coined the phrase that we have uttered on this show many times this season. He said he was looking to avoid a Mourinho season. And while things aren't going well for Chelsea, I think we can all agree he's managed to avoid that. However, on the north side of London, is Arsene Wenger in danger of having his own little Mourinho season?
No.
Chelsea were in danger of relegation that season.
Yeah.
They were that bad.
But I think the fact that was the start of the season.
No, it wasn't. They were still near the relegation zone come December. That's a little bit beyond.
Yeah, but I think if Arsenal started the season with this form...
Did they lose as many games as Arsenal have so
I
far?
think so, yeah. They lost 10 games, I want to say. I could be wrong on that.
That was so when December, January?
Yeah, December, January. We're talking like the Mourinho season was...
But
relegation form.
It was Brian Clough in opposite.
See, the key word there is a little Mourinho season. Like, I think he's having just a Mourinho-esque crisis.
So he's having a bad run of form.
No, but I think this bad run of form has stemmed to a way such that the Arsenal players are playing like the Chelsea players played.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that the mentality of both sides are kind of similar at the moment.
There may not be as much animosity as in this Arsenal team as there was from Mourinho in that Chelsea team. Like, they hated Mourinho by the end.
Yeah.
I don't think they hate Wenger or any of the coaching staff. I think they like him. That's clear from like how they feel when they're apologising, which Chelsea players weren't apologising to the public.
Yeah.
When they were doing that terrible Mourinho season. But like it's been said that they had an intervention last week after the Man City Cup final.
Yeah, the Guardian were publishing a piece that was very in depth of what just happened.
It's not just the Guardian. It was well known.
Yeah,
like this was leaked to the press, or it was known to the press. There's players talking to the press in Arsenal's dressing room.
Yeah, and like it was at that stage with Chelsea as well. Like players were speaking to the press.
They were informing against Mourinho. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, it's not. And
like,
Mourinho was leaking straight back to the press about the different players. That was like two counts at war. You know?
Yeah, that's a fair point. But like one of the like, I'm gonna paraphrase, but one of the quotes was like, "We need someone to coach us."
Yeah, that's
like,
a pretty damning quote.
Yeah,
like,
I think that was...
The coaching staff can't help us anymore. We have to figure this out for ourselves, which is, what's the point of the management and the players of the playing staff when they can't help?
Yeah, but I think there's two interpretations of that. One is that, that the coaching staff isn't good enough. And the other is that we're not good enough. It's not the coaching staff's fault. They can't do anything. They're doing enough for us already. It's up to us to step up.
True.
So, without having been there and knowing a bit more about it, I wouldn't want to fall on either side of the fence there yet.
Yeah.
And even if it is, I still don't think that they genuinely dislike Arsene Wenger. I think there is definitely a mood amongst the players that, they need a new era, they need a new man, they need some new ideas. But it's definitely not progressed to the stage that Chelsea were with Mourinho.
Yeah, I think that was a little extreme. And I think the question was more to just get the conversation going, more so than to say it is a Mourinho season.
Yeah, it's close to it. Like, it is the worst 4-on-4 Wenger's ever had in his whole career. As
like, they've lost 4 matches in a row now, which is the first time since 2002.
Yeah, and I mean,
they won the league that year.
Well, they're mathematically out of the title race now.
Yeah.
And it's March.
Yeah. I mean, if this run of form goes on another month, I think, I mean, what can you do? What's the solution? Fire Arsene Wenger?
Yeah.
To what end? To what end? He's gone in the summer. Well, he's probably going in the summer. The presumption is.
I'm going to say it right now. He'll finish that contract.
He'll have another year. Yeah, it's not impossible. Like, there's a lot of stuff leaking out of Arsenal right now. The chief executive and none of the senior members of the board attended the match against Brighton, which was seen as like, well, they don't want to be part of it or be connected at all with the misadventures going on at the moment. But also, apparently, it's leaked out in the last couple of days that last season Ivan Gazidis voted for Wenger, or put forward that Wenger should be furloughed, should be let out to pasture. A new manager be brought in over the summer, and then the whole transition be happening. but that was vetoed by the owner because the owner spoke to Wenger and Wenger wanted to continue on.
But isn't there reports that Kroenke Jr. has spent the last 3 months at Arsenal?
Yeah, I don't know. Kroenke Jr. Josh Kroenke, I think I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He's immersed himself to learn soccer for, the man. He's made weird assertions before relating to the other sports franchises that his family control in the United States, and you can take it what Kroenke's done with the Rams and what he's done with his various other franchises, the Colorado Rapids, and kind of not being liked by any of the people relating to those franchises.
The sports people in the franchises.
Yeah, and a lot of fans don't like him either. I know he brought the Rams to LA, so that he got him a lot of
I know Vince McMahon doesn't like him. I know that was one. And if Vince McMahon does not like you,
it's not necessarily a good thing if a wrestler,
the CEO of the WWE, he set a standard himself. So if he's giving out about you,
it is a bit worrying when certain like that. As long as he doesn't threaten challenge him to a fight, he's probably okay. The other thing relating to it is this is a bit ridiculous.
After that, I think you can be as ridiculous as you like.
Yeah, but the director of football or head of football relations they brought in from Barcelona, who's at Barcelona for the last 14 years, had agreed to multiple press interviews and press occasions and to be at all these different events, and the club cancelled on his behalf so that he wouldn't. They've overruled him accepting all these invitations, and they don't want him to be linked to the club in its current state at all.
And I mean, with that, you've got to imagine that it's a little bit of a holding pattern until the end of the year, and they can get a new man in. I think those are signs pointing towards Arsene and Wenger mutually agreeing a termination of his contract.
Because what's left in he admitted today that they're out of and he is one very optimistic fellow that says there's still the
that's why he's still at the club.
But he says they can't the top four is way out of. It's completely.
They're 13 points off Tottenham now.
Yeah, which is mad. In terms of how up and down everyone's form has been, that they're still that far away from everyone else, and they're 5 points clear of Burnley.
Yeah, that's the ridiculous thing I thought as well.
4 consecutive defeats, and they're 5 points from Burnley.
have just won against Everton this weekend. Their first win since mid-December, and they're only 5 points ahead of Burnley.
And they're exactly same position as they were in September when they got 7th and 1st. But away from that, they're playing Milan in the San Siro, arrested Milan with a crazy manager in Gennaro Gattuso who's making the players punch him.
He's a nice juxtaposition. He gives a nice juxtaposition between Gattuso and Wenger.
Yeah. But he's got the players behind him. They're winning more matches than they were under Montella beforehand. They're keeping touch with the European places now.
Yeah, when I remember we sat here and we said when he was appointed that Milan had no hope of top four. But
I stand by that.
I'm not necessarily saying they will get top four, but they're within a shout.
Yeah, but Arsenal have to go play this Milan side on Thursday, and if they go in playing the way they have in the last 2 months, they will be eaten alive.
Yeah,
even by this limited Milan side who have a lot of problems, who are not, don't have the best manager in the world, don't have the best players in the world, don't have a coherent system, could still wipe the floor.
I mean, it sounds a lot like the Arsenal team there. They're in relegation form, and right now, they're no better than any of the relegation clubs in any given week.
This could be West Brom playing Milan. On Thursday night.
I just wish Gattuso could play. I'd love to see him on the pitch.
He might come on.
And get Gary Neville on commentary, just because he's so angry about Arsenal all the time now. Like Gattuso is the complete antithesis of someone like Aaron Ramsey, say.
I think it's worse now that we haven't even talked about the selection in that match yesterday, but the commentators have really they're starting to feel pity for Arsenal.
I feel bad for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I want them to win.
That's the kind of thing. They still want them to lose, but they feel bad for them when they lose.
And it's partially out of respect for Wenger, who really, the last 2 or 3 years of Solid is...
Yeah. Well, longer than the last 10 years.
Okay, the last 10 years.
There's qualifications with those.
Exactly. If you take out the last 2 or 3 years, he's still regarded as one of the all-time greats. Now it's like looking at Ali after he, after his...
Near the end, when he was playing the various different people that he played in the late 70s in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant viewing. But that's what it is. Like, speaking of disharmony and harmony and how the players feel in that dressing room. Yesterday, Aaron Ramsey, you spoke of him there, left out of the squad entirely. Wenger said he was resting him for the Milan match.
Yeah.
It's very hard to believe. Like, Jack Wilshere had to pass Jack Wilshere was not good against Brighton.
No,
he had to pass a late fitness test to even play.
Yeah.
Like, if Aaron Ramsey's fit and they're resting him, El Neni doesn't play, another midfielder. You know, the front, the expensive front, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang did score. He didn't take the one chance he had.
He hit the post as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Koscielny hit the post right after they scored the first goal. Hector Bellerin, after his comments last week, and well, wasn't so much his comments, but there was comments coming out of the club that he was interested in
moving to Juventus.
Yeah, moving somewhere else. That was the main thing. Like, various different clubs were linked with him, and suddenly he's dropped. And, you know, I don't think he came on the last few minutes, saved a few counter-attacks when Brighton were tearing Arsenal apart. But what does that mean for his future? Is that, like, he's one of the main assets Arsenal probably have. He's a young, exciting right back that could probably sell for quite a bit of money.
Yeah, like, I don't particularly rate Bellerin, but I still think they could get a lot of money for him. They could get a lot of money.
Yeah. Kyle Walker is 50 million. Bellerin's a better player than Kyle Walker.
I debate you on that one, but I don't think I will now.
If you go with the crucial tackles Bellerin has made defensively, and he doesn't get any credit for his defensive cover, Bellerin makes more defensive covering challenges than many other right backs in the whole Premier League, and he gets none of the credit for that because that's not showboating.
But I think that's just because the rest of Arsenal's defence is so awful.
Well, it's because he's really fast.
Yeah, that covers. Too.
He makes like goal saving blocks every other match.
Yeah. And
he does get up and down. Like, if you look at his meters covered, he has no defensive support on that side. So he does a lot of attacking and a lot of defending, and he does a lot of running. I think that's underrated because Arsenal are playing so badly. I just get really frustrated whenever I watch him go forward, though, is the only thing. I take your point, and you're all right. Kyle Walker does cross the ball, and not even that good. But that's a debate for another time. Like, before we move on, I just want to say about Brighton that they're safe. I was actually completely wrong about Brighton. I had them pegged to come last. That Chris Hughton wasn't good enough for the Premier League. That he was a championship manager, and he's proven me wrong. Yeah, he's been like Brighton are a really solid team. No one wants to go to the Amex. Like, they look safe with 10 games to go. Like, that's really impressive. Yeah. The Premier League is a disgrace this season in some regards. The way that the league has festered. Yeah, where you have 11. Maybe 12, but definitely 11 clubs who are playing bad enough to be in a relegation battle. Yeah. But about 5 or 6 of them, just to be clear. Watford, you remember Watford? They sacked their manager. Yeah. Comfortably in 9th place, haven't moved, they don't win many matches. No. Wow. They don't draw many. They're losing quite a few matches. They did beat Everton though. Yeah, but they can't move away. Everton are in 10th. who are statistically probably the worst club in the league over the last 3 or 4 months. Yeah. They're there. Yeah. Newcastle and Southampton will go and win a match very impressively. They'll play very well. But they'll go and they'll play well, or they'll put in a performance, and then they'll lose the next match, and then they'll still not be in the relegation zone, but they'll be close enough to it. Yeah. It's a crazy league this year, and like any number of these teams, like Brighton, probably in another season, where maybe there'll be a bit more dichotomy in the league structure, where you'd have a runaway top teams. And then maybe a bit more better performing teams instead of having But there's a better balance. Well, you have 6 teams, even with Arsenal, who are cut free of the league. Yeah. Effectively, Arsenal lost 4 games. Arsenal lost 10 games this season. 4 games in succession. They've lost 10 games this season. They're still 5 points clear of anyone catching them. Yeah. 10 matches. They're 30 something points off first place? Roughly, yeah. And they're still 5 points clear of anyone getting near their position. 33, I think. You know, that's just how bad the league has been in terms of numbers. The quality is subjective, and you know, you can say that maybe it's because all rising tide raises all ships, and all the teams have actually got better, and they're just closer together, and that's why we have such a competitive Premier League this year. But like Brighton, in another year, probably would have been right, and they would have been closer, or at least definitely down there. I don't know about that, because I feel Brighton, the way they've picked up points, you know, consistently, they haven't had the hot flashes and cold flashes. They've been absolutely decimated by certain teams. They have, absolutely. But that's one-off performances. I mean, they haven't had, like Watford, they haven't had 3 months of absolutely dire results. Yeah, otherwise to be ninth. Yeah. Okay. They've never gone on a tear like Watford did at the beginning of the season. But at the same
same time, they're doing that thing that you need to do as a club that's only looking to stay up and
Like,
picking up points
consistency
everywhere.
is almost better than being able to win 7 games on the trot and lose 7 games.
Yeah,
on the trot.
well, maybe not for if you're going for European places.
Yeah.
But definitely if you're trying to avoid
I
relegation.
don't think that was their aim, though.
Yeah.
No,
I think
exactly.
they were aiming to stay up. I think they've done a good job.
If
of
Watford
doing
win
that.
5 more matches, they will get into Europe. I'm pretty confident. From that
I just don't think
position
they
that they're in.
will do that, though. Well, moving on, like we mentioned Chelsea there in the opening. They lost to Man City, and a lot of teams have lost to Man City this season, but it was a particularly poor performance.
Yeah, they weren't good.
I mean, yeah, if you look at the difference between when they played Man City, the 3-1 win last year, the win that kind of, I don't want to say it made it clear they were going to be champions because it was early enough in the season that there was a lot of work to do.
But they showed that there was a gap between Man City and Chelsea.
Exactly. And I mean, the attitude they had there, because they were backs against the wall. City were probably the better team for most of the game, but they kept going and they ended up winning 3-1. 3 very good counterattacks, spearheaded by Diego Costa and Eden Hazard. Fast forward to Sunday's game, that was dire. It was one of the worst displays of football I've seen out of any non-Arsenal team.
In fairness to Arsenal in this regard, Arsenal played Man City twice last week, lost 3-0 in both of those matches. Now the League Cup final was pretty poor, but the league match,
was better.
Arsenal lost 3-0, and Conte even alluded to it in the post match. He said, you can open up and try and play Man City and lose 3-0, or you can play like we played and lose 1-0.
But I mean, honestly, as a Chelsea fan, I think the 3-0 would have been preferable if the 3-0 came with any sort of...
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even ask for performance. City are a very good team and Chelsea aren't in great form.
And they have European commitments coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. But the appearance that they cared.
Yeah.
Because this was a team that did not care. Eden Hazard came out and said afterwards he didn't feel like he played a match, he just ran around a lot. Yeah. And I mean, that's what it was. It wasn't even running. There
was some very strange decisions Conte made during the match. Like Pedro, I think, was one of his, when Pedro joined Chelsea, he had some bad performances and then he became good again. And then this season, I know he got injured at the beginning of the season and it's kind of stunted his whole year, but he was awful.
He was dire.
I remember at one stage there was a counter attack, and I think it was a 2-on-2 roughly. Pedro, and it was late on in the 80th minute. Pedro and Hazard were there, and Pedro kicked the ball in a straight line forward, and Ederson just picked up the ball, and Hazard lost arms up in the air because he'd made a diagonal run, and he kind of split the defence. And then immediately after that, Conte took Willian, who has been Chelsea's best performer in the last couple of months probably, took him off. Willian was just like, what? Why am I going off? And to bring on, I think it was Giroud at that point.
Yeah.
And he was like, why am I coming off? And Pedro stayed on.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
The whole team tactically didn't make sense. If Chelsea play that formation with those 3 up front, it's to play a quick counter-attacking game with the ball on the floor. Because they are all small players. Yep. Eden Hazard, Willian and Pedro are small people. Yeah. They are not going to win 50-yard punted balls like Chelsea were playing. They are not going to beat the City defenders for in the air, They need to get quick ball played in front of them so that they can run onto it. Because, even when they're not playing well, and Pedro absolutely didn't, I don't think Willian did either. He's been very good recently, so you can forgive him.
Why would you bring him off?
Why would you bring him?
Runs.
Absolutely. And Willian has the ability to change a game, with one good moment. Yeah. And I mean, Hazard's never played all that well as a false 9. It's been tried a couple of times at Chelsea. It's never really worked. Yeah. He's better as a second striker. He's better playing off somebody who can hold up the ball for him. So first of all, you're negating Hazard's ability, especially if he's playing centrally. That's what he needs to be doing. Otherwise, you can try playing him on the wing, where he's maybe less effective, but at the same time, he's a good player out on the wing. He absolutely, if you swap him and Pedro and give Hazard a bit more ball, I think there's something to be done there.
Could happen.
But the way he set it up was almost the worst way for the 3 players he picked. Yeah. If he decided to play Giroud and Morata up front, you could argue there's something for the other front 2,
whoever they be. It would be something different that Guardiola maybe wouldn't have played for playing against 2 big strikers. Yeah.
But last week they set up in the exact same way against a not nearly as good Manchester United side. Why is Conte going into these big matches?
Well, he played that way. He set up that way against Barcelona, and it kind of worked. But they were playing at Stamford Bridge. They were playing confined, small, and it was a bad surface on a nice night. and Barcelona had a few off nights and where a couple of players didn't really perform.
But it was also...
So maybe they got a false sense of security from that. Like, we drew Barcelona. Barcelona are quite good.
But like, I can understand that, but against Barcelona, they were playing the ball on the ground. They were playing football. They weren't just
hoofing it. And
exactly. Yeah. I mean, there was no semblance of, ideas.
But maybe that's what the pitch, like, I know this is a bit ridiculous, but pitch dimensions do matter.
They do,
Stamford Bridge is a lot smaller than even the Etihad. Like, in terms, it's those, like, 10 yards in 10 yards in...
Yeah, like we saw Spurs had to adjust to the size of Wembley's pitch.
Yeah, like it makes a difference to the way you play. So if you play compact football, and maybe it suddenly becomes, okay, we can't actually play short passes. But like away from that, the way Chelsea are playing defended, which is a bit funny.
It was
like,
dire.
Man City were good. They had good ball. They played well. They interchanged. If Aguero was a different striker, they would have had a lot more goals. I think. Because Aguero's support play isn't as good as other players. His finishing is obviously excellent, but he doesn't have it that much.
Yeah. But the thing is, they never got out of first gear.
No,
and they never needed to.
And I mean, going back to that thing about the tactical, like the size of the pitch, that's a tactical issue. That's Conte's job. That's what he's there to do, and he got it completely wrong. And I mean, City didn't get out of first gear. They didn't have to, because Chelsea were happy to let them win in first gear. Yeah. Chelsea absolutely could have made more of a game of that if they'd wanted to.
Like I'm assuming we've all seen this clip that's going on around Twitter now and all these social media platforms of Fabregas just walking up to, was it David Silva, and just saying, it was basically just saying,
how you doing?
How's it going?
They're friends, it happens that way.
Yeah.
But while he has the ball,
while
they're 1-0
that has
down,
to be tactical, because they're not.
Yeah. Like, I'm not blaming Fabregas.
You can't imagine that any professional footballer, when they've had a week off, correct? Chelsea played since last week.
Since the United game.
Yeah, they've had a week off. They're not that tired.
No.
They can press the football.
Yeah.
But they're obviously stay back, because it's the old Mourinho adage, and it is correct in a lot of ways. If you don't have the ball, and if you're not close to the ball, you can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's up to them to beat you. So you stay far enough back, and that'll happen.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel what's happened here is Conte's pretty much thrown the game. I don't want to, maybe a bad choice of words.
He's essentially
he's out the door.
Admitted defeat.
Yes, he's admitted defeat going in, and the reason for that is he's aiming at Barcelona. I can't see any other reasonable explanation.
That's not for another 9 days.
I know, it's not for another 9 days, but I mean...
Is he vindictive? Is he trying to sink the club
to
ensure that they win the Champions League qualification?
It's a possibility. It is. But I mean, I can't see any other explanation, because it's beyond getting the tactics wrong. At this point it has to be deliberately setting them up wrong, because there were so many things. You could forgive one or two of these mistakes, but there were so many tactical errors with the way Chelsea played. It has to be deliberate.
Just the final thing I will say about Chelsea is Conte is very much trying to control the narrative of his time at Chelsea. Yeah. He came out, I think it was after the match, saying, "Oh, of course we're not doing well because the board isn't investing." But I thought that was just it's rubbish.
It's scatterfire at this point. He's just trying to deflect attention. I think Conte's reputation is relatively safe. Everyone knows what type of club Chelsea are. Everyone knows their basket case of the club.
But a similar thing happened at Juventus. Juventus never collapsed like Chelsea have.
Yeah,
so,
true. He did make those demands at Juventus, and then left saying that the club would never achieve anything. And then Allegri came in, sold all the best players, and then went to the Champions League final twice while maintaining that form.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing with Conte and the board, Conte has put a lot of the blame for this season down at the board's feet for not reinforcing the club correctly. But Chelsea's biggest departure was Diego Costa, and he left because Antonio Conte drove him out of the club.
Yeah, that text message is just...
But it was under the presumption, in fairness to Conte, that they had signed Lukaku. Eventually, that when he was driven completely out of the club, and
it was still a poor judgment on his part to do that.
It was.
And I mean, Lukaku's still not as good as Diego Costa,
No, but he's more closer to Diego Costa than Morata.
Definitely in the mould of player he is, but in quality, I'm not sure.
He's
and as well, with the replacement, Conte has come out saying that he wasn't happy with Matic leaving.
Yeah.
But that's not what the talk around the club was back when the actual transfer deal happened.
Matic was meant to leave even before Conte came
Exactly.
in.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff Conte's come out in the media and said. And I feel a lot of this has dragged down the club as well. A lot of the talk, and really, he hasn't proved enough in the time that he's had at the club. You know, he did win the league, but he's got an attitude of, you know, I'm not being supported. The club is dragging me down, and I'm not entirely sure that that's, you know, warranted with how he's behaved, how the way he's talked about the club. He's making the job harder for himself for no discernible reason, to protect his own reputation.
Yeah. Well, Costa Curta, who's been the former Milan and Italy great, the defender, came out in the last week and said Conte is my number one man for the Italy job, and he's in charge of hiring the Italy manager for the next campaigns, the Euros and the World Cup. So, you know, he has a job, which is his old job, and he did a good job there, and his reputation was bolstered by it. And I think, you know, he's made a lot of money in London. I don't think he's harmed his reputation. Maybe he's continued the same reputation.
Pretty much.
But I think he'll become relatively unscathed from it. He'll probably be at the same... He hasn't set the world alight. He hasn't performed in Europe, which he never did at Juventus as well. He's maybe is a bit of a Mancini type of manager that, you know, can do certain stuff, but then has limitations. But, you know, he's got a job to walk into if he wants when he leaves Chelsea.
That will do us for the news. Join us after the break, where we will do a little European roundup. It's been a while since we've had a conversation on everything going on around Europe. This week, however, seems like a good time to check in on how everything is going ahead of the second leg ties in the Champions League that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So in Spain, we were just talking about Barcelona and Diego Costa. They played each other last Sunday afternoon. Atletico Madrid lost at the Nou Camp. Title race over at this point.
I don't think there ever was. I know, in fairness, Atletico have remained relatively unbeatable this season, bar their European ventures, and they got to the point where they were within touching distance of Barcelona. How many points were they off? 3 points originally, wasn't it?
5?
It was 5. Yeah,
it was 5. So they get back to 2 points, which was one match, and then they show up to the Camp Nou and just were not. Like, they kept it tight. They did the classic Simeone Atletico job of like, let's give it to them hard, let's kick them around, let's keep Messi, you know, man marked by at least 1 or 2 players. But, you know, Barcelona were just that much. You know, they had multiple chances to extend their lead. The winning goal was Messi from an amazing free kick from 35 yards out. Yeah, top corner. Yeah. Like, even if the goalie was standing there underneath it, he would have been hard pushed. Oblak, who's a good shot stopper. He did nearly
get to it. Yeah,
he did. He's a big keeper and he's a good shot stopper. But that was as good a free kick as you would. It's the ideal free kick for that position.
He's got 3 free kick goals in his last 3 games now. 5 for the year in total. Yeah. The 2018. Like, that's...
Maybe he's improving a part of his game.
Yeah, Messi.
He can't score penalties.
Well, like, he's always been good at free kicks, but he's never quite had this kind of performance. Well, remember the one in the Copa America a few years back against America?
But he doesn't, like, Messi doesn't do, like, Cristiano Ronaldo has a style of taking a free kick, which is hit the ball underneath it, get some backspin on it, put power through it, and then you'll get a curve on it, which is fine, and it's done Ronaldo wonders. But Messi just kind of changes what he does. Yeah, sometimes he hits them stay outside the foot and they kind of curve around the wall. Yeah. This one, he just kind of, he put a lot of power in it, but still got the perfect angle and arc on the free kick to get into the top corner.
The thing is, though, like, Oblak couldn't have been, like, he got very close to it, which I'm very impressed by, because he couldn't have been sure what way Messi was going to go, because last season he scored on he scored on Oblak on the other side of the goal. Yeah. So, like, he could have easily gone that way again. But he went this direction. Like, he can change it up just as easily.
Messi's in as good a form as he's been in the last 3 to 4 years at the moment. Like, he's not scoring the goals that he scored 2010, 2011 in terms of volume. Yeah. But he's like he's dropping deeper and deeper. He's become more of a traditional 10 rather than a false 9, because Suarez is starting in the 9 position. So he's coming a regular 10. And it's just, his game is just developing so much more. He was man-marked at times by 3 to 4 Atletico players. And, like, Barcelona's attacking play wasn't top-notch because that was a lot of space for those players who didn't... You know, Paulinho isn't Xavi. He isn't Iniesta who got injured. So he had all that space. But Messi was just beating players, dribbling around them, getting tackled and getting straight back up. You know, he was all the good things that Messi is in that match.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, that match summed up the entire season for both clubs, not just, you know, Messi. Because Atletico were good. They weren't, no.
They weren't bad at all.
They weren't bad.
They improved a lot in the second half.
They were
just
good.
Never threatened.
They were comparable.
They were
Barcelona,
there till the end,
exactly. But like they had been in the title race, like you said, within touching distance the whole time, without
ever really
without having there. And I mean the difference is that's star quality.
Yeah.
Griezmann, he's a great player. He's not Messi, And I know it's a bit facetious when you're comparing it to somebody who's probably the all-time great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Atletico don't have that spark, Even from Griezmann, they don't have that sort of X factor, that some players just have. And I mean, it doesn't have to be Messi because, there's no other Messi.
Yeah.
But Atletico really do lack that other player like that. And I mean, that's why Barcelona are top of the league. That's probably why they're unbeaten. That's why they won the game against Atletico, because...
It's why they drew against Chelsea.
It's why they drew against Chelsea, because Messi's special.
Yeah.
But the thing in Atletico Madrid is, though, that they have 17 outfield players in their entire squad now.
Yeah, they're in serious financial difficulty, as they always tend to be, and they always make those weird financial deals, and they bought the Wanda Stadium now and open.
Yeah,
they're hoping that's going to increase revenue by the end of the year. Yeah. But they're signing players for money from Costa did cost a bit of money.
Yeah.
And his wages are high. Griezmann is there. The rumours are, and this goes into our little tactical talk we had about Messi and playing in 10, is that apparently Barcelona have agreed 100 million transfer fee for Griezmann in the summer. Griezmann plays that role for Atletico. I don't know what they do to move him somewhere else in the team, or is there a plan to move Messi somewhere else in the team again?
Have Messi replace Iniesta?
I mean, Messi can play anywhere.
There's other, Coutinho apparently is going to go to PSG, and because Mbappe
with Mbappe in the way.
But that's a great deal for Barcelona. I'd slap your hands off if they Coutinho. Good player, very good player.
Very good.
He's not Kylian Mbappe. He's
not very few people are.
He could be the future of Barcelona's attack for 10 years if he goes there.
Easily, he's still only 19.
Imagine Messi feeding Kylian Mbappe balls over the top from the right hand side to the left hand side. That's 50 goals a season between the two of them.
Yeah, if not a lot more. Yeah. And but apparently
just 19.
Yeah, but getting back to Atletico's financial problems, I think the biggest thing they had was they had budgeted for qualification in the Champions League.
True, that cost them all 20 to 35 million.
Which is a bit. I don't know when the books were drawn up, but it's a bit irresponsible to assume, especially when they were second seeds. They were second seeds,
How many years have they made it to the semi-finals?
But you can't live off past glory, though.
You can't, and they were getting a lower seeding this time. I don't think were they second seeds last year.
They would have been second seeds last year.
I can't remember.
They'll be second seeds this year.
Yeah, with the seeding system, and the way it's changed in the Champions League, the groups are harder. The groups are in general going to be tougher. And you might draw the easy one. I think Porto's group was
a crazy group. That was a Monaco.
Yeah. And I mean, if Atletico got drawn there, you fancy them to go through.
True.
But at the same time, they could have drawn Bayern, they could have drawn PSG, they could have drawn Juventus, and there's a lot of strong third seed teams.
In fairness, they did not draw a bad group.
It was
Chelsea and Roma
because both teams lost matches.
They did.
There was a runaway.
It was their failure to score against Karabakh.
Yeah,
that's what knocked them out.
That's what knocked them out. They would have easily leapfrogged one of the two clubs
if they had beaten Karabakh both legs, but then
they didn't. And now they're in the Europa League, and do they want to win that trophy?
It's a trophy.
I think that maybe they've lost that match against Barcelona, they'll redivert their attention to it this week. They are probably between form and quality. They're probably the best team in the Europa League.
Yeah, they're my favorite.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, who's Dortmund are there, but
they
and then you have the big giant, the sleeping giants in Milan and Arsenal. Whoever comes out of that tie potentially could have a run because that'd be the quarterfinals then, and they've just had a scalp one way or the other.
Yeah.
So maybe those are the three teams to watch in the Europa League, and that but as you say, that's not going to replace the revenue of the Champions League.
No. I do feel though that seeing as they're pretty much sewn up Champions League qualification, they probably will make a good go of it, even for the extra ticket sales for a couple of big home games.
Yeah, they will make a bit of money from it.
They will.
It just have the Super League comparison to the Champions League money.
It does. But again, after the sale of Carrasco, who was kind of on the outs in the club for a while.
Yeah, it was a weird situation going on, because I remember watching him in the Champions League final in 2016, and I thought he was amazing. And like I've seen him in other matches, like in and around that time period. I thought he was a top talent. Like he could become one of the like he'd be a big sale for them.
Yeah.
To someone like Real Madrid, or obviously not Real Madrid, but the stature of Real Madrid.
Yeah. Barcelona, one of the Manchester clubs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he just seems to have completely petered out.
Yeah, there was links to both Manchester clubs and Chelsea there last summer.
Arsenal were linked to them
as well. Yeah.
But what like?
I think they might have been offered.
It's happened with multiple players at Atletico. They're kind of.
Arda Turan.
Yeah, Jackson Martinez.
He's been released by the Chinese club that bought him.
Yeah, well, that's to do with financial regulations in China.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff
still,
like that.
it's not.
But yeah, it isn't a good sign
not,
for the guy that was signed by so much money from multiple clubs. Yeah, their transfer policies are good and bad with Atletico. Like they have brought through. They have an amazing conveyor belt of strikers that they've just, from Torres and Aguero to Costa to.
I mean, at the same time,
Griezmann, everyone, Falcao.
Yeah. At the same time, those were expensive enough. People have this idea of Atletico, just churning out top class strikers. Falcao cost them 30 million.
Yeah.
Aguero, homegrown.
Well, they brought him over.
Almost homegrown. Torres the same.
Homegrown,
Costa bounced through a fair
Costa's
few of the Liga clubs.
Story.
Yeah. Okay, Costa's a bit special again, but it's not quite as easy as all that. And Carrasco came in for a fair fee, I think 15-20 million.
Yeah, which is a lot in La Liga,
I mean, even for a club like Atletico, that's not a small amount.
Yeah.
They've got some other players who still might go for a fair bit of money, Saul and Koke, I think.
But then they have two
of the big ones, apart from Griezmann, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think Koke's going anywhere at this point in his career.
Probably not, no.
Like, he's not going to go to Real. I don't think Barca are going to sign him, and then that leaves going abroad. I don't think that's in his makeup.
That's fair.
Like, they have older players who need to retire as well. Godin and
Luiz
that's
Felipe,
a big worry.
Felipe
Luiz. Well, he's getting on now.
He's about 31 now.
Yeah, and they're just starting to show their age. Isn't Thiago still there?
Thiago's still there. Yeah.
That's just.
And I mean, he's one of these 17 players.
Yeah. Juan Fran.
Yeah. I mean, where's the replacements going to come from when there's no money? It could be a rough 2 or 3 years for
and Simeone goes as well in the summer.
He did sign a new contract, but
I could still see him going this summer.
I would imagine that any contract he signed had the implicit agreement that if I want another job, you'd let me go. Maybe. After all he's done for the club, I wouldn't expect them to stand this way.
This could be, if they do not do the Europa League and win it and do it justice this year, it could be a long time before Atletico Madrid are back in the biggest end of European. Like, we think they'll make the Champions League next year, but I should say there's a lot of rebuilding to be done.
I could see it being very difficult for them to qualify next year. It's I mean, I think they'll still be one of the best teams in Spain. I just think their status as one of the best teams in Europe is fading.
Yeah, and they didn't win the Champions League.
I mean, really, for the generation they have and the age pool that they have, this was the last year that a Champions League win was kind of feasible. I think that's kind of slipped for this group now.
Yeah.
And then in Serie A, obviously the tragic news about the Fiorentina captain David Astori.
Yeah.
Really hope I pronounced that correctly. Only 31, and because of the tragic news, out of respect, there were no fixtures played on Sunday. So obviously the Milan derby was unable to take place, but on Saturday the title race was able to keep going. The Napoli
pulled the Napoli.
Yeah. Very much kind of similar story to Atletico, although in kind of like underdog,
it's kind
Napoli,
of
going up against
Napoli are top of the league in Italy. They play fantastic football, and they've succumbed to their classic Napoliism.
Yeah, Atletico don't have that kind of bottling in them.
They do.
They did win the
Champions League
finals. Yeah, but they did win the
92 minutes. Sergio Ramos.
It's not in Atletico's DNA the same way as Napoli.
Yeah,
Napoli are very much a club.
Maradona's not there; they can't win the league.
Yeah, they have that one Scudetto, but they needed Maradona.
Yeah. And they
couldn't get the European Cup after it. They lost that then.
They got relegated as well. They were in Serie B as recently as 2005, I think.
Yeah, but that's a lot of financial mismanagement.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot more to that story.
In Italy in general.
But at the same time, they're Italy's smallest big club in a way. And I really feel for them because over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years, they've probably been the second best team in Italy for almost all of that period. First to Juventus, then to Inter. You know, when they had Cavani, Lavezzi, and Hamšík making up their front three, they looked like one of the best attacking teams in Europe.
Yeah.
Fast forward, you know, they're playing Milic. Okay, he's been injured a bit.
Yeah.
Insigne. Mertens, there we go.
Mertens, yeah.
Mertens.
Who are all in the form of their lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
At different ages.
Who are again one of the best attacking trio in Europe.
And they have a solid enough defence as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They're one of Italy's best, you know, regardless of whether they win the league this year.
Yeah, like they're on track for 97 points.
Yeah,
or something
that would be what, third highest in Italian history, I think.
Third or fourth. Well, it depends on Juve as well.
Depends on Juventus.
Because they're on for 99 points.
I mean, yeah, like it would be a tragedy if this Napoli team.
But they'll do it because it's Napoli and it's Juventus, and Juventus always win, and the Juventus players know this. That Napoli choke. No matter how good Napoli have been amazing, but they are beatable. They crashed out of 2 European competitions already, and were showing up for being like not that good. Roma, who are, you know, at least they're doing better in Europe this season, have a good solid squad there that have been there for a few years, came at them at the weekend, and like, okay, if we don't be stupid against Napoli, and not be, you know, stay all the way back and wait for them to play through us, because Napoli will do that as well. If we go out there, stay organised and stay to our plan, Napoli won't be able to do anything about it. They don't have the world-beating players that other top European
To be
clubs
fair, the difference between the two sides was one side had Pepe Reina in goal and the other side had Alisson.
Yeah, but like, I don't think Alisson contributed that much.
He made at least 4 saves on Dries Mertens alone.
Yeah, but that was more down to Dries Mertens than it was Alisson.
He made some very nice saves.
Yeah, okay.
Like, Napoli, it was a harsh scoreline. 4-2 is...
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Dzeko as well really refound his form at the right time as well, because he's been poor this second half of the season.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he scored 2, one of which was an amazing strike.
Yeah.
Again, Pepe Reina in goals for Napoli.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
you think Roma might want Napoli to win the league?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. For it was like you kind of helped Juventus here, but they have their own problems as well. They need top 4, and it's a very tight race down there. Like they're currently third, but they played a game more than 5th to 7th or 5th to 8. Like Inter are 2 points behind. They've been in terrible form. Samp and Milan are maybe a bit too far behind.
Close, yeah.
But they're only 7 points.
I mean, if Milan keep up the form they have, they've got an outside chance.
Yeah.
You know, it would take league winning form, but they've been there over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
I still think, Inter have had a really bad blip, but they're probably the best team.
Well, they have the best individuals.
They can say that. They probably have the best manager of that group in Spalletti, but you know, they've that ridiculous run that Inter went on.
Yeah, because they were keeping up with Napoli and Juventus up
until 2 months that they didn't win a match. Like that, you can't recover from that really, and the fact that, you know, their best player is kind of hated by the fan base. Has found
the
out,
ultra fan base.
Yeah, but has found out that he's likely not going to the World Cup because the other Argentinian players don't like him.
Poor Cardi. Nobody likes him.
He's a certain type of person that isn't liked in that team. So like he has no real motivation for now until the end of the season.
I suppose he probably wants to play in the Champions League.
Yeah, but he's probably not going to be at the club next year.
He's also injured for the next month, I think.
Yeah, you see, it's only, and that's not. They don't have a huge amount outside of him that's going to score goals. Like he was crucial in the last Milan derby earlier in the season.
He scored a hat-trick.
Exactly, he was the difference, and he's not going to be there. I think Milan are due to beat that Inter side. They were unlucky in the last match. They played well against them last season when they played them in the 2 derbies. I think they'll win this one whenever it is played.
The thing is, though, form, like, it's a cliche to say form goes out the window for a derby, but it really does in the Milan derby.
Especially a derby like Milan.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, who's got the team with the bigger heart and spirit? Because those things matter in a derby, you know.
Well, one's managed by Gattuso.
Exactly. You've got Gattuso firing you up for a Milan derby. Yeah, you've
just
got
going crazy.
You've got
pulling out his hair, speaking different languages.
It's all threats as well.
Being Scottish.
Yeah, he's a type of Scottish.
Oh yeah, and I mean you've got Bonucci at the back screaming at you if you make a mistake. Milan have
Bonucci
characters.
apparently called off the match yesterday. If you
he rang his good friend Ranocchia,
who's the captain of Inter, and said, "We're not playing. You're not playing either." Okay, that was before the Serie A was called off. Yeah.
I mean, Astori was a former Milan youth player, so I can.
And he played for Italy.
He played for Italy.
12 caps, I think.
12.
Or 16, didn't he?
Was it 16?
I think he scored in the Confederations Cup against.
Oh, that's a while ago. Yeah.
And he scored the winner in the third place match in the Confederations
Back in 2009.
No, it was like 2000.
It would have been 2009 because they. I know they would have been in it for 2013 as well because Spain won World Cup. Weird. Completely forgot that Italy were in that Confederations Cup.
But that's Astori. It's a very strange and sad story. He's died at 31, and
it's tragic.
It's changed the whole complexion of Serie A going forward because it is a World Cup year, so they do have to finish the league at a certain time. Yeah. So they're going to have to shoehorn in this match to get this game week, which isn't even a full game week because they have the most important matches were played. The most important match to the title race were played already. Yeah. So this is for the rest of the matches, so it's going to be all screwed up, and there's going to be a Milan derby in like a Wednesday or Thursday.
And Juve have to catch up a game as well because their match with Atalanta was called off during the
week because of the
snow.
Crazy freak snow.
Yeah. Which Mandzukic went out in a t-shirt and no gloves.
Yeah, but then I think Buffon told him to get off the pitch. Yeah. He was like, "What are you doing? It's up to my shoulder." Get away.
Oh man.
Well, one thing I will say about Napoli is that if they're behind Juventus in the table before they play, like when they go to Turin, it might actually suit them more. Like I'm not saying it'll help them win.
They will choke.
But the fact that they'll have nothing to lose.
It might drive them. It'll drive them to be more reckless and more attacking, and that can either...
That'll probably make for a better match.
It probably will. It'll either pay off spectacularly or backfire horrifically.
Napoli, like nothing would make me happier to see Napoli because it'd be a great football story.
Yeah.
Not quite to the level of Leicester winning the league, but it'd be a bit closer to that than Juventus winning a 7th Serie A title in a row. You know, whatever that would be. But I don't see it happening. Whether Napoli are ahead or behind Juventus at the time, Napoli are going to choke.
Yeah,
they did it at the weekend.
That's a fair assessment.
Every other week we're looking at the fixtures in Serie A and you're like, is this the week Napoli screw up? And a couple of times they've been outstanding and just played wonderful football and scored great goals. And a couple of times it's been very close to them dropping points.
Yeah.
And then they finally do it against a decent club in Roma. And then you're like, they actually do have a couple of tough fixtures. They have to go to Turin. They have to play, a lot of the top 6.
Well, they only have the Milan sides after that, and they do have actually a pretty good. They have a good record against the Milan sides.
I mean, I don't even think it's the fact that they lost as much as the manner in which it happened. 5-1 defeat when you're chasing the title has to be a bit of a morale killer. And Napoli, they haven't had a challenge like this all season. It's all gone well for them. Yeah. And I know in the past, I'm sure they've had bigger losses. I'm sure they've had more,
morally it's damaging.
Exactly. And I'm not sure can they pull themselves up from this in time because of how tight the title race is. Even if they only spend, a week getting over this, that could be enough to kill their title race,
Though, to bring back the comparison with Leicester lost at Arsenal at the Emirates and came back and they just ground out those 1-0 wins. Just a little bit of me hopes that Napoli get. I'm going to remain optimistic.
You're good to have the hope, and I hope you're right. I just don't see Juventus not beating this Napoli side.
Juventus are ruthless.
And that is the difference between them at the moment, is that victory. That would decide the league.
We discussed this, I think, before, that how many points would a winning mentality give you over the course of a season? Just enough to pip Napoli.
Yeah.
But then in the in Liga first, Neymar has officially been ruled out for the rest of the season.
So now PSG are going to play a team game and win comfortably by 20 points clear as well.
20 odd,
it's not that.
It's not as extreme as that.
Extreme, but
it's double figures clear.
Yeah,
it is double figures clear. They're going to win the league.
Yeah,
with or without Neymar. It's interesting. Neymar now is out to the World Cup, so does that give better? He's going to be pumped for that World Cup if he gets fit in time.
He's only out because he's opted for surgery.
He's chosen to get surgery,
so he will be fit for the World Cup. Yeah,
I just thought it was interesting that the decision was ultimately PSG's because it's in Neymar's contract.
Yeah,
but Brazil were putting PSG under a lot of pressure this week.
I'm sure Neymar was putting them under a lot
Yeah,
of
I'm
pressure.
sure he was as well.
The World Cup's his goal. That's what he wants to win that more.
Really cares,
like,
exactly.
if they win the World Cup,
Messi, you know?
If they win the World Cup, it won't matter that PSG lost in the last 16 to
Not to Neymar, it will to PSG.
Yeah.
I mean, PSG, this is their star player. They paid 222 million for him.
Yeah.
And he's much in wages. And
exactly.
Else.
And I mean, he's still, you think he'd repay that with, I don't want to call this unprofessional, because in a way, it's not as bad as to be unprofessional, but at the same time, and I can understand where Neymar's coming from, but the fact that, he's so important to the club, and the club is so based on Neymar being their best player that they can't afford to go against his wish. They can't afford to say, no, you're playing for the, you know what, if we lose to Real Madrid, you can get the surgery then, but we need you playing for this game.
Yeah, I almost think that if the tie was a little closer, if PSG had a lead going into the second leg, I think he'd be playing.
I honestly, no, I don't think so.
I think he'd be playing.
Not if it jeopardised the World Cup.
Maybe against his, not like against his will, but against his wishes. But I think they'd
want him to
play.
they would have postponed the surgery, but I don't think he would have been fit enough to play.
Maybe even even just on the bench. I think he would have been there.
Perhaps. Well,
maybe.
France is done anyway. Neymar is done, and we'll rejoin him back in the summer.
Summer,
June.
We'll talk all about that when the time comes. I'm sure we're all looking forward to it.
Yes.
Then just quickly in the Bundesliga, the top 4 race is also incredibly close.
Yeah, Bayern 20 points clear.
It's like the Premier League. It's a top 4 race and all. It's very interesting.
Well, Bayern had a blip. Man City didn't have a blip.
Well, Bayern are further ahead than Man City are as well. Bayern are so comfortable, but in terms of the top 4, Dortmund
are in second. They've switched manager. They have, or are they in third? They dropped to third.
Yeah. Schalke are in second.
That must have been okay. But Berg isn't Peter Berg? Was it Peter
Stoger?
Why do I call him Berg?
Anyway,
Stoger
manager
from Cologne, who are they still bottom?
I think so.
They
are. Fired for poor performances at Cologne immediately.
Was he fired? I thought he was just.
He was fired.
And then hired. Well, he was one of the favourites last season. He did get them to the Europa League.
Oh yeah, and absolutely, he did an incredible job.
He's a club hero.
At Cologne, yeah. Oh no, he got a standing ovation while being fired for poor performances, which says a lot.
Dortmund are in a season transition. They haven't replaced their biggest. They've done what Dortmund have done in recent times. They've lost big players. They can't be overstated. Dembele was so important for them. Aubameyang was so important for them. Even
Hummels.
Yeah, Hummels.
Hummels is a while ago now.
Long time ago now.
They still haven't replaced him though.
2 years ago, 3 years ago. Sven Misseltat, who left there before Christmas, he was the guy that transformed their transfers, that signed these young players from all over Europe.
It's probably a bit too soon to even see the effects of his departure, I agree, it's a big deal, but I don't think it's quite as much an impact on their current form. I do think that it'll probably make it a lot harder for them to continue the way they have been as a club that focuses on bringing in 19, 20-year-olds and developing them and selling them off
for big profits, and bringing in the next batch of them and then doing well with those. It depends a lot with the club. Schalke, it's very interesting to see them actually. Yeah,
they're probably
doing something. I mean, getting ahead of Dortmund for one.
Yeah, Frankfurt in fourth. That's impressive for Frankfurt. They've not really been anywhere lately.
1960 European Cup final against Real
Madrid.
That
was a good 58 years ago.
Hampden Park, Alex Ferguson said it's the best match he ever saw.
58 years ago though.
Yeah,
good for Alex Ferguson.
it inspired him in his footballing ways. But Frankfurt are a well-run club. They've been down in the bottom division, not the bottom division, but they've been relegated from Bundesliga in the last 10 years and come back up stronger. I think it's a testament to the good structures that are in place in Germany that clubs can do that. Yeah. Can go down and come back up, and neither suffer in either position. Like St. Pauli, Stuttgart have been down there. Cologne have been up and down.
Mainz have been up and down.
These clubs. They have a different structure to most European clubs that they sell, they buy in youth, they take risks, and I think it's a good sign that Frankfurt, with a weird squad, because it's an older team, it's not a bunch of youth players. These are well-worn pros and like that have actually grown and performed well this season and have got up to that position. Similar to who was it last season that performed well in Bundesliga?
RB Leipzig?
No, there was a promoted side.
Was it Cologne?
Was it Freiburg?
Or are you thinking of Hoffenheim?
No, it was like
was it just
Freiburg, Hertha Berlin?
It was so one of the clubs last season who had just been promoted were comfortable in the top half of the division and were in the Champions League places for a while.
Yeah.
In the season, they fell away from those as the season went on. But it's good, and it's not like a shock the way it is when, you know, who were in
Leicester.
Well, Leicester is
that's
a shock
a step
everywhere.
beyond. Yeah.
Or a few years ago, Crystal Palace were
Crystal
top four.
Palace do well, when West Brom do well, when Newcastle do
Southampton.
well, when Southampton do well, where it's like, well, Southampton is a bad example because they're a well-run club. So that plays into this. But, you know, when a Hull does well and they get up there and then they're relegated, you know, that's or Reading in years gone by. You know, these are shocks. Like, oh my God, these teams can actually play. These teams can play, but they're also well run and they can go up and down and still can, you know, they can persevere, keep their style, not sack the manager.
I mean, I agree with everything you said, but I'd be worried about the flip side, which is that Eintracht are having a good year this year. You know, they might qualify for Europe. And they might, as we've seen a lot in Germany recently, just fade away into the bottom half of the table next year and stay there for 2 or 3 years.
There is no structure for sustainable growth.
Yeah, but all the German clubs recently, if you look at their Champions League qualifiers, I think all of last year's Champions League qualifiers, apart from obviously Bayern and Dortmund, are nowhere near the qualification.
The thing I'll say though is like there's a lot of money. Like they won't have, because of the new rule changes, they won't have to go through a qualifier, so they won't have the Hoffenheim situation.
Yeah,
they'll definitely qualify for the Champions League, and they'll get that money. But that, like, they won't care if they fade away next year because they'll have that money.
But German teams can't do the same thing with the money that English teams do because
it doesn't matter as much.
It helps them to just grow as a club.
Yeah, but their own, like Germany has the highest attended. Has if you go start with the facilities. Most clubs, like, it's mandated from the German FA that all clubs in the Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2 or B, whatever it is, 2? Bundesliga 2 or 1, 2 and Bundesliga 2, they have to have a youth team, build a training complex, train youths, and be owned 51% by your fans. Yeah. So that means that money is already siloed into all of these things. They have the highest attendance in Europe overall. Most games get huge attendance. They don't raise up their ticket prices, so you can buy a Bayern Munich season ticket for 100 and something euro.
Yeah.
That's
it's
mad.
Roughly 15-20 euro game, I think.
Yeah, and it's cheaper. It's proportionally cheaper as you go down.
And that's Bayern as well.
Yeah,
like,
they're
that's
the most expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so like the money doesn't have the same effect. They don't spend. They find it obscene. Like Bayern, have spent money in recent seasons. And every time they've spent money, they felt almost like apologetic when they've done it.
And I mean, Bayern, they're probably despised in Germany for it.
Yeah.
You know, they are
seen FC Hollywood.
I mean, Leipzig is a slightly different story because
they still don't spend the money that any other team in Europe spends. Like the record spending in Leipzig is still less than it is in
16 million. I think is the record transfer.
The Netherlands, there's probably higher transfers been happening there. Certainly, Marseille has spent that much money, and they're not even PSG. Lyon.
Yeah.
They're buying players for this money, and in Germany, it's considered obscene. So the money doesn't matter as much; it just kind of sits there.
The problem with all of this is that it doesn't allow an effective challenger to Bayern Munich come up.
Yeah.
Because Bayern are so far ahead of the rest of them in terms of global presence, which funnels into the money. In terms of
their commercial viability is astonishing.
It is.
People like Manchester United get acclaimed for Ed Woodward's ability to get official Manchester United noodle partner in Malaysia, which they do have.
Yeah.
Or various different tire partners globally. Bayern Munich's percentage of revenue driven by commercial agreements is like 60 or 70%.
It's insane, yeah.
It's well ahead of every other club in the world. They don't get as much money from television and other revenues that Manchester United or Real Madrid or any of these, but they have the business acumen to be amazing.
But because of that, because of their extra money, because of the
FC Hollywood's
Bayern accept that status.
Yeah.
Bayern have historically bought the best players from other German clubs.
They've done it this season. Who did they buy from Schalke? What's his name?
Goretzka.
You know, just bought him.
Yeah. No, he's coming in on the end of the season on a free transfer.
On a free transfer, but they agreed. They gave him more, trebled his wages.
Yeah, no, but even historically, like Gerd Muller, I'm fairly sure, was it Muller who came from another club?
Yeah.
Muller, Rösler, one of those old German strikers back in the 80s, or even 2 or 3 of them. You know, they bought them from the other clubs, the other big clubs, Mönchengladbach, Schalke, Wolfsburg, you know. These are the clubs. They're feeder clubs for Bayern.
Yeah.
And Bayern accept that. Bayern take on the hate from the rest of Germany for it. And because of it,
the German clubs accept it as well.
Exactly. Like the other clubs accept that Bayern are their boogeyman, and they're never going to beat them because they're not willing to sink to their level. They hold themselves to a higher moral standard for not spending the same money, for not being FC Hollywood, for focusing on the football, and Bayern will never get properly challenged in Germany because of it. Because
you could have a Celtic Scottish Premier League.
Absolutely,
if that happens.
But we say this, and Bayern, it's been like this from Bayern for 30 years, as you said.
And they do have times where
there is
they drop off.
But it's due to mismanagement of Bayern Munich more so than the rest of the league being great.
Like we saw that a few years ago when Wolfsburg and Dortmund were winning the league for 5 or 6 years there.
That happened for what, 5 or 6 years, and Bayern are straight back, you know?
Yeah. Well, as soon as they're back being properly managed, they're back again.
Like they kind of just saw how Dortmund were doing and copied that essentially.
Yeah.
But that will do us for Top of the Show. Join us after the break for Guess the Player. Welcome back to the end of the show now. We're just going to close out with Guess the Player. Andrew, you can explain it this week.
So Declan's going to feed us a bunch of names of different players who have played together, and we're going to have to guess what links them all and what player links them all, more importantly.
Yeah, you have to guess the mystery player. And are you guys ready this week?
Go ahead.
Edgar Davids, Rio Ferdinand, Ronaldo, Fernando Torres, Clarence Seedorf, Damien Duff, Dimitar Berbatov.
Okay.
Broad one.
Dimitar Berbatov was he at Tottenham at the same time as Davids? No, Davids was earlier, wasn't he?
No, he might have been. Is it Robbie Keane?
It is Robbie Keane.
Oh, wow. That was...
so Edgar Davids he played with at Spurs. Next player was
Rio Ferdinand
he played with at
Leeds.
Yeah. Did they overlap at Leeds?
They overlap at Leeds, yeah.
Who was the next player?
Ronaldo.
Fat Ronaldo he played with at Inter Milan when Ronaldo was injured and Robbie Keane was there before he went to Leeds after he left Coventry to Inter Milan.
Then Fernando Torres at
Liverpool.
Yep. Clarence
Seedorf he played at who on earth did he play with Clarence
Milan?
Seedorf?
Clarence Seedorf was at Inter, yeah.
Was he at Inter at the time?
Seedorf went through all 3 Italian clubs.
Damien Duff is obviously Irish. And Dimitar Berbatov is Tottenham
again.
I'm sorry for taking your
time.
That
was pretty incredible.
Well, it's like there's not many.
There was a specific reason though why I picked Robbie Keane this week, because he started his foray into management this week. Where he picked himself and he scored the winner.
In fairness,
is peak Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane being given the management duty in this final match for Calcutta. I don't know.
Some Indian team.
It's Calcutta, but I forget the prefix for the club. Kolkata. It was to do with the rules of the league, because you have to have a marquee manager, and Teddy Sheringham was the manager of the club, and he got sacked a fair while ago, and the assistant / director of football, who I forget, who used to be a Premier League footballer as well, but not a high profile one, came in and he was in charge and managing the team, but he had to be removed from the position even though he's still at the club because he wasn't high profile. So Robbie Keane was given the similar thing. I don't know if Robbie Keane counts as being high profile.
He does to me.
In a management
for
sense.
an Indian football club?
Yeah, in a management sense. So I think you actually have to be like, you have to have your badges, which I don't think Robbie Keane has. So I think he is, again, interim. So
he's a player manager, yeah.
Yeah, in 3 more matches, it'll be another player that'll have to take over. Even though I'd say a lot of the management is being done by this other guy that was director of football / manager for the last many matches.
If you look at the managers they have, though, there's not
Robbie
all
Fowler.
that many. Yeah, exactly. What has he done in management? You know,
I'd say very good at real estate and horses. Apparently.
Fair, right?
But did Robbie Fowler ever score the winner when he picked himself?
It takes some doing, but
It's something only Robbie Keane can do, I think, because Robbie Keane is a wonderful man.
Did Gianluca Vialli ever score the winner when he subbed himself?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
What about Glenn Hoddle
as well?
You know, Chelsea had their
But
streak.
are those men Robbie Keane? Is my question.
Robbie Keane.
We have narrowed the goalpost an awful lot in that last question.
Just Robbie Keane, you know.
Yeah, Robbie Keane.
Like he scored 68 goals for Ireland, so 146.
6,000 matches for Ireland.
Yeah, he played for 11 clubs in his
mostly
career.
Gibraltar, San Marino, Liechtenstein,
the Faroe Islands.
Yes, couldn't do that.
He played for 11 clubs in his 20-year career.
They're all his clubs.
You could have made.
Can you name all 11?
We started at Wolves, didn't we?
Well, who did he play for in Ireland?
Wolves or Coventry?
No, he started at Wolves.
He started at Wolves, yeah.
Started at Wolves, then he went to Coventry, then he went to Inter, then he went to Leeds, then he went to...
It was Tottenham next.
It was Tottenham,
Liverpool, Tottenham.
Then he went to
LA Galaxy.
LA Galaxy, where he then went to Aston Villa, West Ham, and Celtic on loan.
Yeah.
And now he's in India.
Is that all 11?
I think that's all 11.
All childhood clubs.
Yeah.
Who did he play for in Dublin? Tala?
I don't know.
Shelburne?
Did he go?
No. Was he part of that Shelburne?
He was young when he went.
Oh, okay.
But I wonder if he played for
Shamrock Rovers.
What's
Ray
the name of
Wanderers.
the Dublin club? Anyway, it doesn't
St.
matter.
Pat's.
These are parts of the country.
No,
Bray
they're
Wanderers.
all-
Bray.
They're counted as a Dublin
Don't he
club.
go?
Finn Harps.
I didn't say Finn Harps.
No, but I know.
But anyway, that will close the show for us this week. Thank you for listening or watching if you were watching on YouTube or live on twitch.tv/Total Football Podcast. Please subscribe, rate the show or whatever on any podcast provider that you use.
Give us some guess the player suggestions.
Yeah, suggestions, that'd be great because they're out a large pool of people that have played football.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at the TFPod. Email us at thetfpod@gmail.com. And that just leaves me to say thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening.